Welcome back to Talking Sheffield, Sheffield Live TV on this Thursday evening, and as promised, the next 24 minutes or thereabouts will be devoted to a debate on possible solutions to a problem that now appears to be the scourge of football. It has been for some years, but there was a feeling that it had gone away. The FA launched a Respect initiative. That was back in 2008. We're onwards by 8 years now, and it's kind of drifted. And all of a sudden, there's been a rush of reports from referees, not just young referees, from very experienced referees, from big burly guys as well, including one we had in the studio, Paul Cooper, recently, the president of Sheffield Referees Association. And what must it have taken to move him to come out publicly and talk about the problems and the abuse and the threats that he's had, and for his pool of referees to talk among themselves about possibly withdrawing their services. So it's a serious issue. Keith Hackett is with me, the former referees manager, England's former referees manager, ex-FIFA referee, and currently spearhead of the youaretheref.com website, which actually set this ball in motion and started reporting on the Respect issue and really drawing attention to it. How serious a problem is it, Keith?
I think it's bigger than we all thought. It's even, you know, when I started the debate, I thought it was a problem. I didn't realise just as big. I think there are many facets of it. We're seeing incidents of mature referees being physically assaulted, verbally assaulted by club officials in the first place, and then by spectators. And you know, at the end of the day, I certainly started refereeing, and most referees start their refereeing career for enjoyment. And once that enjoyment starts to go, then they're going to stop refereeing. It's dead easy for them to walk away, you know. And I think we want to prevent that. So that my worry is that having built up the numbers of referees, although I think we're still 10% short of referees in Sheffield alone, having built that figure up, there is a danger now that suddenly a lot of referees are going to quit, because I think, you know, the lack of enjoyment, the threat, the physical threat, is a massive worry. And of course, when someone like Paul Cooper, who's president of the RA, put a huge amount of effort of his own personal time in, apart from refereeing, he's also done that to help the Sheffield Referees Association. And he himself gets to the point where he's thinking of quitting because of it, then that is a concern. But once we release that information, if you like, wanting to support Paul, all of a sudden we have had this rush of other referees. And I've been rather surprised by that. The fact that a guy, a sensible guy, mature guy, who served in Afghanistan and Iraq as a soldier, says that going out and refereeing on a Sunday morning, he feels in more fear than he did when he was in the theatre of war. That then suddenly brings it home. That's an astonishing statement. Yeah, it really absolutely is, and indicates that there is a serious problem here. The confidence that match officials have now had to come forward, having lurked in the background, they've seen colleagues come forward, and it must be a difficult thing. Now, Paul Cooper, it's a bit, isn't it tantamount to a teacher saying he's lost the kids? For a referee, he's lost control, effectively. He can't control. Yeah, if he's actually coming out and saying, I'm getting threatened. Well, his enjoyment has been impaired, and he's probably saying to himself, why should I do it? And ultimately, you know, it's this physical threat. You know, if you do this on the football field...
It's a hard thing to admit, though, isn't it? I'm not saying he's been genuinely threatened, but there must be human nature being what it is. You kind of think, well, if I come out and say I'm having these problems, then people are going to point the finger and saying you're not managing these guys, you're not doing a good job refereeing.
I think the initial worry is that the laws of the game are there, they're specific. There's action that can be taken, i.e. yellow card, and then a second yellow, a red or a straight red, for all these aspects. But then once you've issued that red, the worry is I'm going to be assaulted off the pitch or in the car park or have my car damaged. Yeah. Now, that's going to influence it. They're taking the defensive mechanism. Yeah. And of course, what we found is that there's a large number of these incidents that have taken place not reported
Yeah.
for fear.
Yeah.
So there's these referees who, on a Sunday morning, are going to a football field, they're verbally abused, and you can say, well, we're all a bit thick-skinned, referees, we're used to it a little bit. And I think we are. But in reality, when the physical threat comes in, the brick through the window, followed then by the risk of, I'm going to find out where your address is, and then you've obviously got the public sort of media, social media that's available, it becomes quite a problem.
Intimidating.
Well, you know, I mean, we have had instances. David Ellery, who's the chairman of the Referees Association, president, I think, of referees, chairman of the referees at the FA. I mean, he used to have, at the very highest level, he used to have a panic button in his house, because of the potential threats. So it has gone on over the years, and action has been taken. But it seems to me that the senior game, through its campaign, which ran parallel to Respect, that was get on with the game, get on with each other, which I sort of introduced with the Premier League, where club owners, club managers, the captain of the team had to sign that document, that charter. You know, and
has that worked in the professional game to an extent? Is this?
I believe. Okay, we get instances that we see on our television that's unacceptable, but generally, I don't see it as a major problem within the professional game at that level. You know, the whole aspect is that all club owners and all club managers generally are very keen that the image of the game that's transmitted around the world and gets masses of amounts of money is seen in the right manner. So whilst often people would say, well, what happens on the top cascades down, there is a bit of that, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. You can lip read, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
And you can see referees taking a shed load of abuse and doing nothing.
Yeah, and
that can't be right, can it?
Well, I used to have that referee come in front of me, not like the schoolmaster, but actually say, look, take a seat. Look, I'm going to show you a film clip. This is unacceptable. Why are you doing it? And it was probably, if you like, the worst case that I can remember involved Mike Riley, where the defender, he called him to him and he wouldn't come.
This is Ashley Cole, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he called him again, and at that point there was a point of challenge to the referee, and Mike Riley backed off. And in reality, what he should have done is you either come to me or you continue walking to the dressing room.
Because the referee in that arena is protected. He's not exposed. He might have, you know, millions of viewers poring over his every decision and 60,000 in the stadium, but physically, he's quite safe, isn't he, there?
Absolutely, and that's why we bus them in, put them on a bus and bus them out.
Right.
And that's the point.
The guy in the park, he's on his own.
Absolutely on his own. And
it's frightening, isn't it?
Well, I think that the aspect is, one, you want the referee. The referee is there representing the FA. He's their servant. Okay, he's taking a fee from the league, but he represents the FA. What is important in this, if you like, mosaic of actions that need to be taken is, one, the FA, when he sits up and says, I've sent this player off or I'm reporting this misconduct, don't doubt the referee, which I think is happening at the moment. He is a witness. And I can remember sitting in front of Jeff Thompson when he ran the county FA here, and Ernest Cangley before him. And once or twice, the clubs who sort of appealing have sort of pointed in my direction, and both of them have said, look, the referee's not on. He's not here for this. He's here as our witness. He's our eyes at the game. What he says
goes.
Yeah. And I think we need to get back to that point.
Yeah.
First of all, then we need, you know, if an action. I can remember reporting. I never received a big guy, and I would threaten, I suppose. But I think in principle, I know that when, if you like, abuse did take place, you could bet your life that the following Tuesday, if it happened Saturday or Sunday, Tuesday it was dealt with. because it was a phone call and it said to the club, come in.
But now you're saying it drags on. You're also saying that the referees don't have the confidence in the FA to follow through, and therefore they're not reporting incidents because they don't think they're going to be dealt with.
I think within the pecking order of the FA, there's suddenly it's drifted. They've allowed it to drift. You know, they've come under pressure and people have gone who've managed those processes, let's make that clear. But at the end of the day, without a referee, they haven't got a game.
No.
Or if they allow a game to take place without a referee, then all hell breaks loose. And that then says, just a minute, we're putting the entire reputation of the game at risk.
Now, I know that a week ago you were at a meeting. It was quite a special meeting because Sheffield Referees Association took the initiative here and they invited all the local leagues that they officiate, junior and senior, to attend a meeting. I think the FA sent somebody along to that meeting. I know you went to it.
Well, she arrived late, but there's a respect manager in Sheffield. I was really pleased to hear. That's a positive.
Yes.
But I think her initial work is centred around the Junior League. And the Junior League is superbly run.
Sheffield and District Junior Sunday League. On Twitter, I see all the initiatives. They're looking to mark respect from players and managers, and it's working, isn't it?
Well, there's a model.
Seems to be.
Well, I think it is working. I think, you know, and what's happening is their numbers of referees have gone up by 200. The result of, I want a referee on your competition because I know I'm safe, secure, and the players are well behaved. I think that they've got the system right. I think it's been managed very effectively. The guy who came out with the figures got a complete handle on it. I was really impressed. And the respect person has been in there and getting involved.
Yeah.
That's not the problem area.
No, it's not the problem areas. Look at the problem area is adults, isn't it?
It's adults. And I think that, you know, I sat there and I listened to, I'll not name, but I came away with the impression that one league, one Sunday league, the guy was saying, we do this, we do that, we suspend, we throw clubs out. And I'm thinking, wow, everything he said he was doing was brilliant. And then I find that the team is actually the team that's been involved with Paul Cooper,
right?
The same league.
Yeah.
And then I find a colleague, a senior colleague, another senior colleague in Sheffield who I work closely with, has also been assaulted by the same team. And then I find out that Paul, having gone through his trauma, is suddenly returning to the same club.
Which club? Can we say which club it is? Can we name and shame?
Well, I understand it's the Blades Draw Sunday League, and the pub is the George. Now, I don't know which George it is.
No.
I just picked that up.
There are a few, I would imagine.
Yeah, there must be.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, don't tell me that you're taking all the action and you're doing this, that and the other.
When all that's going
at a
on.
Meeting, that you know, I was really impressed with the meeting. I think that Simon Hall, the current chairman, went about it absolutely the right way, involved everyone, asked, you know, what are you in refereeing for? What are you in playing for?
Yeah.
And actually, if you like, was at the centre of a debate out of which, and just before I came in here, I picked up an email from him where he's listed the topics that were discussed and the potential outcomes. Hopefully that will go and serve as a model.
Let's hope so. The Daily Telegraph has featured this heavily for 3 successive days, which tells you just the depth of the problem, really. Now let's look at solutions. So I know that people kicked this around at the Sheffield RA meeting last week. I know that members of the ref.com team, all experienced officials, have been exchanging emails today. But one that sort of the FA themselves, I think, are looking at introducing, respect marshals, to give it a name.
Yeah.
How would that work?
Well, I mean, I think there are a lot of people that have retired from refereeing, have retired from playing and running a club. So there's got to be a pool of people who they can say, look, would you like to be a volunteer and be involved? Give them a title, give them a metal badge or whatever it is, and say, right, what we want you to do is on this particular week, go to this ground and watch this particular match.
Incognito? Incognito?
Well, I think it can go in 2 ways.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what you don't
Secret
want...
shopper.
Well,
Secret shopper.
yeah, I think that if you have the guy, I'm the respect marshal, then...
He becomes a target.
Well, he might get attacked.
Yes, yeah.
That's the danger.
And you might not get people wanting to be respect marshal.
So I think that it needs to be someone who can hover around, just take a look and then report.
Yeah, and for clubs and managers and coaches and players to be aware that these people are in circulation widely, a bit like at 40 Towers and the hotel inspector.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
they never knew when he was going to be there, and if you think that there is an inspector there, it can. But also referees, it's more peace of mind for them, isn't it? If they know that there's somebody on their side.
I think if you've got a respect marshal, if you've got someone who's there representing the FA as a volunteer, and he's reporting on the behaviour, I think first of all the benefit of that is that the FA themselves have a better picture.
Yeah,
I think the Daily Telegraph has painted a picture that the FA didn't have.
Yes.
You know, in truth, I think all of a sudden they're thinking, you know, they came across and said, well, actually, dissent's down.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, that's good. But in fact, the laws of the game are, if you delay the restart, that's a cautionable offence.
Yeah.
You know,
and
2 yellow cards.
Kicking the ball away or something.
Exactly. So,
you know.
so ultimately, I'm a little bit mindful of figures, but when an independent university, three universities combine and produce figures, then you suddenly go, oops, it is a bigger problem.
I think the FA are taking it seriously. You wrote an open letter on the You Are the Ref site to Greg Dyke.
Yes.
After a month, there was a response from the FA. They did quote some figures at us, which I know that you dispute. Question. But they did say, they did strike a chord with what you're saying tonight in looking and appealing for people to report incidents, get them dealt with.
That came out at the meeting. On Thursday, that came out at the meeting. Clearly, referees are also in this.
Yeah.
Referees are not doing their job. Look, they are representatives of the FA. They're paid for doing the job, and they must report. And they must report speedily every incident. That allows then the FA to have a bigger picture and to be able to do something. The FA, in its processes, need to speed up.
Yeah.
You know, I get that impression. And then inform, not necessarily the outcome, but an acknowledgement, we've taken action with this particular club, and also then take action with the leagues. If the leagues fail to control the club, the competition, and they have clubs that are on the extreme of this particular problem, throw them out.
What about a degree of self-policing? I know that from the think tank of the You Are the Ref guys today, an idea came out for each club to have a respect officer, liaison officer.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, this is what happens at the professional level.
Yeah.
You go to Hillsborough, you go to Bramall Lane, you've got a referee liaison officer.
Yeah.
And you know, there's no real connection with the club other than that referee liaison officer. Something goes wrong, he's the point of call. And you're right, in the professional game, you've got the security. I think this is a good idea. I think that, you know, someone coming in, knocking on the door, saying, look, I'm the point of call, providing that person isn't joining the hooligans that are abusing the referee.
Yeah.
So selection of that individual is important. Yeah. You know, and
should he be CRB checked? Coaches and managers at
that's an old topic in itself. I mean, I think that on some of the cases,
referees are, I know.
Yeah, well, you know, we've got some young referees, and therefore, I think one avenue, if you want to take the action, is to go down the CRB route and say, look, these young referees have been abused by parents.
And if nobody takes any of this seriously, by the way, Keith had a message, an email today from a former colleague on the Premier League, Mike Cairns, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
a former Premier League referee.
Well, Mike Cairns was a Premier League assistant referee of some standing, and he's tall.
When you say standing,
when I used to have chats with him, I was looking up. So this is not like a withering sort of flower in a corner.
Yeah.
This is like a strong individual.
Yeah.
And yes, he wrote to me today and said, I've been abused, and was specific, and then very critical of a non-action, and almost being told you're a liar, it never happened, because they took the club's side. which is absolutely amazing.
This is from his local FA.
Correct.
In which district, which region
I
are we
think we're talking down south.
Yeah.
And don't ask me
whichever.
specifically.
Yeah. But there is this consistent thread running through that referees don't feel they're being supported by their regional FAs. Now, I think the regional FAs and the national FA are sincere. I don't know if you agree. I think they're sincere about wanting to tackle this problem.
Oh, yeah.
Have they got the resources to tackle it? Should they be devoting more of the financial cake to it, if you like?
Well, if they want to have a game played for enjoyment and all the work that they're doing, you know, there's some real positive stuff coming out of the FA. We're about to have this regional centre. I'm seeing the buildings going up at Thorncliffe. Fantastic. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if they don't protect the referees and take action here, then all that's a complete waste of time, because it'll become a white elephant. And I think resource, as it was in the past, has got to be pushed into the county FAs so they can take action. There's some real positive people, some good people at the county FA. You know, I wouldn't have got to the international level without their support. And it worries me that I'm feeling as though I'm having a bit of a dig and a go. I'm having a dig and a go because, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, the Sheffield Referees Association was the organisation that got me where I was, along with the encouragement I got from the county FA. So I know that this is a problem, and it's a serious one for me to suddenly, if you like, say, look, I need to do something and get involved in order to help the process or speeding up the process so we do not lose referees to the game.
No referees, no game.
Correct.
It is as simple as that, isn't it?
It is.
How close have those Sheffield referees come to withdrawing their services, do you think?
I think they've come pretty close. You know,
And that's still a threat, is it?
Well, I think that they want to withdraw that threat. I get a feeling that, look, we're in it together, work with us, and let's try and find remedies. And the positive side of last Thursday was the one that leagues did attend, and there was an open debate and discussion. I think there's got to be a follow-up. I think that the FA really should have been in attendance. You know, I'm talking about the top level guys.
Yes.
I mean, the chairman of the referees committee wasn't there.
No.
You know, and he's a former guy who I used to work for me.
Right. Yeah.
So Yuri should have been there, and he should have been part of that discussion. The Referees Association, of course, which is the body that mentors, guides, supports refereeing, has declined over the years because it's not also received the support that it should have.
Keith, we're going to wind up here. It's a huge issue. We could talk all evening about it, but thanks very much indeed. Ref Show, by the way, on You Are The Ref, for followers of that site. On the Ref Show this coming Monday, I'll be joined by Mark Lawrenson and by Glenn Turner to talk more about this issue. Next week, we're running a repeat. It's just ahead of the World Snooker Tournament back in Sheffield, and Mike Watterson is the man who brought snooker to the Crucible. A repeat show well worth watching, and I'll see you for that next week. Also on my YouTube channel. See you. Bye-bye. Thanks.